Our world is filled with uncertainty and will continue to be. But the one thing that you can be certain of is you right now in this present moment. This is why it's crucial for you to stay grounded during these times of uncertainty. In this episode, I shed light on all the reasons why the world feels so uncertain right now. And I offer highly effective tips to help you stay grounded no matter what the world throws at you. Now, just a reminder, my new book, Potent Leadership, will be released this July 2021. Get yourself on the book waitlist for first dibs plus access to my bonuses. You can do that at rubyfremon.com/book waitlist or text hashtag book launch to 1781-336-0160. Now, if you consider yourself to be an awake and aware truth seeker and leader, and you want to connect outside of social media to dive more into what's really taking place in our world, I invite you to join my new email community at rubyfremon.com/awake-aware. You can also join me on Telegram at rubyfremon.com/telegram, or just shoot me a text message and let me know what you think about this episode, 1781-336-0160. Now, those links and more will be in the show notes, so keep an eye out for that. And finally, please support me in getting this podcast out to more leaders around the world. So whether you are a loyal thought leader and podcast listener, or you're brand spanking new to the podcast, please take a moment right now to download a few episodes. I recommend downloading 3 and dropping a rating and review on iTunes. Now, it is time to talk about how to stay grounded during times of uncertainty. Hey, thought leaders, and welcome to another episode of today's Thought Leader. And today, we're going to talk about how to stay grounded during times of uncertainty, because uncertainty is something that we are all experiencing. I don't care how spiritual you think you are. I don't care how awake you claim to be. We are all experiencing a level of uncertainty. And let's get one thing straight before we begin and dive into everything. The only thing that you can be certain about is you right now in this present moment. That's it. Our world has always been filled with uncertainty. The only reason we are feeling more uncertain right now is because this fake pandemic has disrupted the life that you became accustomed to living, a life that had you living on autopilot. This happened to all of us. And when we as human beings, when things start to feel uncertain, it's really easy to get swept up with fear. And when you are swept up with fear, you become completely disconnected from your truth, from your knowing, from your intuition, from your inner wisdom. And when you're operating from fear, which we see much of humanity operating in right now, you start to disregard your well-being by engaging in more toxic habits to cope with the fear that you're feeling, with the flood of emotions that you're feeling. And these toxic habits drive you even further away from your truth. Toxic habits such as scrolling through your social media feeds. And even if you are scrolling to find more information about what's going on, this can still become toxic. And this is why it's so important to remember that you can only control what's controllable. This means shifting the focus back onto you. Now, I believe that it's important to stay informed these days. I mean, shit is changing by the daily. Often things change throughout a single day. I mean, so much is happening right now. As I've mentioned in a previous episode, like it feels like the timelines are collapsing because they are. So, yes, it's important to stay informed in these days. And I believe that taking in too much information when you become ungrounded becomes detrimental to your health and well being. I also believe that it's important to be prepared for anything these days. I mean, my husband and I, yes, have been starting to stockpile food and other necessities and are doing other things in order to keep ourselves feeling prepared for anything, for what's to come. And I believe that prepping for the end of the world becomes incredibly toxic when you forget to be anchored in the here and now. It becomes toxic when you start to lose joy and gratitude for the present moment because we still have this life that we are living in this moment. And it's important to anchor into that present. Otherwise, all you're doing is worrying about a future that may or may not happen. I said this in a previous episode. The agenda is real. There is a plan that they are rolling out. It's divided into phases and it's all unfolding. They have those in power behind this agenda they have an intention for how they want this to look at the end. They have an intention for the end result that they are seeking, but that end result is not written in stone. It's not certain. So prep for the end of the world, but remain anchored in the here and now. That is what's going to keep you grounded. Now, I want to share with you a two-part plan to support you to stay grounded during these times of uncertainty. Because things are only going to continue to feel more and more uncertain. We are just at the beginning of this shitstorm. Things are about to get a whole lot worse. And it's crucial. It's crucial for your well-being, for the well-being of those you love, those who live at home with you, those around you, for you yourself to stay grounded. So, how to stay grounded during times of uncertainty? I've split this up into two parts. And the two parts are self and community. Now, self is important because this is how you create a sense of sovereignty of your mind, body, and spirit. This is also how you take responsibility for what you're experiencing internally. If you don't feel grounded, if you feel stressed out, if you feel swept up by fear, this isn't the responsibility of those in quote unquote power. This isn't anyone else's responsibility other than yours because you have control over what's controllable, and that is self. Now, the second part is community, and community comes in only after you ground back into yourself. To go into community when you are ungrounded creates a sense of creates an unsafe environment for those in the community, yourself included. So community comes in only after you've grounded back into yourself. And in these times, the times that we are living, community has become even more important. And it's what helps us feel connected. It helps us feel seen, heard, acknowledged, and understood in a world that is trying to divide us. So community is incredibly important. And when I say community, I don't mean a community of like 20, 30, 40 people. Your community could be 3 people. It could be 2 people. But your community are those people who see you, who understand you, who hear you, who acknowledge you, who value you, and vice versa. You see them, you hear them, you acknowledge them, you understand them, you find value in them. That is your community. So, part one on how to stay grounded during these times of uncertainty is self. And the first step in part one is root down. And I use the word root for a reason. We are living, breathing organisms, very much like the tree. And if you think about a tree roots down into the earth as it reaches up for the skies above. So, in order for us to continue elevating, to continue awakening, to continue to be connected with our earth, is to root down into our earth. You have to root back down into the earth and bring yourself back into the present moment. So go outside, be barefoot, whether it's dirt or grass, I don't care. Just place the soles of your feet, your bare feet, into the earth. And when you're standing on the earth, start to pay attention to the feeling of the earth beneath your feet. Pay attention to the sounds that surround you in that moment. This is so powerful. And it's so easy to do. You just have to step outside, plant your feet on the earth, pay attention to the feeling of the earth, pay attention to the sounds that you're hearing. This alone will help calm your system. The second step when you're feeling ungrounded is to breathe. And I'm not talking about doing an intense breath work session. All I'm asking you to do is take 5 deep breaths in and out of your belly. You want to breathe in for 5 seconds and breathe out for 5 seconds. No breath holds, no fast pace. Just breathe in for 5, breathe out for 5, and do that for 5. Do that 5 times. Balancing your inhales and exhales actually helps shift your nervous system back into a parasympathetic state, which brings a sense of calm throughout your mind and your body. Okay. Once you've done that, you've planted your feet in the earth, you've taken your 5 deep breaths, comes step 3, which is create certainty. This is something that I do with my clients all the time. And you want to ask yourself this one question: what do I know for certain right now? And then list out everything that comes to mind, either verbally out loud or in your journal written down. Don't keep this shit in your head. Okay. Verbalize it or write it down. What do I know for certain right now? Start by listing out everything that feels certain within your physical body. Okay. Examples: my hands are warm. My feet are planted in the earth. My heart is beating. My breath is bringing oxygen into my system, etc. And then once you've covered your physical body, start to move outwards, only listing what you know for certain. For example, the grass is green. The grass feels soft. The wind is crisp. The birds are singing. And keep going with this list. And you'll find that once you've planted your feet in the earth, once you've taken those 5 deep breaths, and once you've created certainty by creating this list, you will already feel more centered and more grounded and more rooted down. Now, if you still need support after part 1, you're still craving some support to really ground in, this is when you go to part 2, which is community. And step 1 is connect. Reach out to a friend that you trust, okay? And start the conversation by, and this is very important, start the conversation by asking them if they have the capacity to hold space for you. It could be as simple as, hey, friend, do you have the capacity to hold space for me right now? This is important because you want to ensure that your friend has the energetic capacity to be there for you in that moment. And if they say no, do not get offended. And instead, just understand that they too may be experiencing something similar. You can always reach out to another friend that you trust. Step 2 is to share your needs. And this step is very crucial. Don't just call someone only to emotionally vomit all over them. No one likes to be emotionally vomited on. Okay. Respect their energy and be super clear with what you need by sharing. Here's what I need right now. This by stating this also helps you get clear on the type of support that you need to reground yourself so that you don't then enter this verbal diarrhea state, which I think we've all been there, right? Step 3 is receive. After sharing your needs, please open yourself up to receiving. It can feel so easy to just want to share what we're feeling and then cut ourselves off from the receiving factor for a multitude of reasons. But the receiving is the gift. And maybe when you shared your needs in step 2, maybe you said, here's what I need right now. I just need to be heard. That's it. Or I just need to share what I'm feeling. That's it. Great. Then what you would receive is their listening and their acknowledgement of what you shared. But you might share also, here's what I need right now. I need your help to work through this sadness that I'm feeling, or I need you to shed light on something that I'm not seeing. Then be open to receiving that. In a world that continues to feel more and more uncertain, it is crucial that you own your responsibility to take care of yourself, to stay grounded during these times. And just a quick recap: how to stay grounded during times of uncertainty. 2 parts: self and community. Part 1, self, root down, feel the earth, breathe, take 5 deep breaths, and create certainty by asking yourself, what do I know for certain right now? And then once you've completed that and feel like you need more support, you may not need more support. That may be sufficient to ground your energy. And that's great. But maybe you need more support. Then that's when you go on to part 2, community. Step 1, connect with your friend. Make sure that they have the capacity to hold space for you. Step 2, share your needs. Be super clear on what you need. And step 3, receive. If you need to do this daily, do it daily. If you need to do this multiple times a day, do it multiple times a day. Do not let your well-being slide right now. Do not dismiss your needs. I think it's really easy, especially those of you who are listening right now who may feel like you are the conscious leaders, you're the awakened ones, you are the warriors in this time. Like, it can be really easy to get swept up in that role and forget that at the end of the day, you too are a human being in this fucked up world. And you are going through some deep, dark shit, just like the rest of us. This is why it's important to stay grounded during these times. You are a sovereign being. Remember that. And staying grounded is your responsibility. Our world is filled with uncertainty. It's going to continue to be filled with uncertainty. But the one thing that you can be certain of is you right now in this present moment. Thank you so much for joining me in another episode of Today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to activate the leader within. If you dig this episode, if you found it helpful, please share it with a friend, share it on your social media, and do me a favor, help me get this podcast out to more people around the world. I truly believe that this message needs to be heard. So be sure to download a few episodes. I recommend 2 to 3, and then drop a rating and review on iTunes. If you want to stay in touch with me, I have a really cool text messaging community. All you got to do is text hashtag TTL to 1781-336-0160, and you will be texting directly with me. The first text message is automated. It's going to ask you to add yourself to my phone book. I need you to do that in order to text you. So do that. But if you don't want to do the text messaging, you can also connect with me via email. If you're a truth seeker, if you're seeking truth in these times, I highly recommend getting into my new email community, Awake and Aware. The link for that is rubyfremon.com/awake aware. You can also connect with me on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is at I am Ruby. And if you're on Telegram, I have an awesome Telegram group filled with awakened leaders. Just go to rubyfremon.com/Telegram. Those links and more will be in the show notes. And I will be back on Monday for a brand new episode of Today's Thought Leader. Thank you, leaders.